The Area Cup Series playoffs continue from Richmond Raceway. This is round 16 of 17 of the 2023 Area Cup Series, the penultimate race of the season. This is where we slim down our round of 8 into the round of 4, our 4 final competitors for the Area Cup Series Championship. Hi everybody, welcome to SimTV. Kyle Heyer bringing you the action alongside Finney DeCuna, Hunter Sleppy, and Eric Wineland. Finney, welcome aboard. Richmond Raceway, they used to call this place Strawberry Hill back in the day. 3/4 mile short track, 160 laps. And bumping and banging here at the short track.
Yeah, I mean, really for us going to Richmond here so late in the playoffs is the reason we're going to it. I mean, I loved it when they had Richmond as the final race before the playoffs in real life. It was always a fantastic race to just get these guys that are on the edge, guys on the cusp of getting themselves into the playoffs, and them literally having to nudge their way in, both metaphorically in the point and physically out on the track. And I think we're definitely going to see that on the track tonight, especially considering some guys are in situations.
Physical is the key word here because we're going to a short track. Although it might feel like a regular speedway to some, it is indeed a short track, 3/4 of a mile in length, and definitely got short track, short tempers, and especially with a round of 8 coming to an end, closing it down to 4, heading into the championship race next week at Nashville. Would expect to see some drivers making some desperate moves, some bumpers being banged, and a lot of unhappy drivers after this one's over.
Absolutely. I mean, we're going to have 6 guys vying for the final 2 spots into the championship round over at Nashville next week. But it's all about Richmond tonight, Kyle, where we're going to see 2 lanes of racing, maybe 3. But predominantly, Richmond's always been a bottom-feeding track, and I'm expecting more of the same tonight. And it's going to be rooting the guy off the bottom in front of you to make a move.
Certainly would be a lot of fun to watch here at Richmond Raceway as we kind of trudge towards the nighttime here. We just kind of mostly the late afternoon, but here's a look at your Area Cup Series standings coming into the night. Michael Curhan locked himself in with that dramatic win at Auto Club Speedway last week. With 100 feet coming to the start-finish line, Finian, he locked himself in. Jake Nichols, all he has to do is start the race, and he's locked in. Ricky Springer, Beckner, Hartz, Ellison, they're the ones that are fighting for those final 2 spots.
Yeah, last week was absolutely crazy as far as the points are concerned coming to the end, because up until turn 3, we pretty much kind of knew, going in what next week was going to look like, and then that wreck at the end, taking out Nichols and company, and getting Curhan the win to lock himself in. And as you mentioned, Jake Nichols relatively pretty much locked in on points as long as he starts trying, doesn't get himself into too much issues. Springer and Beckner are a little bit close to the line with Hartz, Ellison, DeLeo very out of it. Of course, David Weishart at the bottom of the barrel, 24 points out.
That one was a big shocker. Seeing David Weishart at the bottom, he's basically in a must-win situation. Him and Dom DeLeo both being 20 points out of the cutoff, and Ryan Hartz being 5 points out as well. If he didn't get caught up in that crash coming to the checkers, he might have won.
Was very, very close to it here. There's a quick look at the team points. Solar Flare Racing, of course, still dominating the team points, but head back down to practice. We're going to get a pretty good understanding and idea of where people are running tonight. Remember, your playoff competitors are lit up in blue on your timing and scoring. Jake Nichols, Ryan Hartz, David Weishart at the top, and Weishart is the driver, Finian, that you mentioned it. He's at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the points gained in round number 8. He needs to win tonight or have a really unlucky group of drivers ahead of him. There is 29 drivers here tonight, so that there's not necessarily max points up for grabs. David's really going to have to work hard at this tonight and hopefully go home a race winner to move on to Nashville.
Yeah, he's pretty much going to be, like you mentioned, pretty much going to be in that scenario unless everyone else in front of him wrecks out early on. But then again, like you mentioned, there's not too many drivers here compared to the other races we had. So even if the guys finish, 25th, 22nd, it's not going to be enough for Weishart. He is pretty much in a must-win. I mean, so far it's looking good for him in practice. He's 3rd on the timing sheets, but Jake Nichols, Ryan Hartz, just a little bit quicker. And Ryan Hartz could also probably use a win to lock himself in.
Doubt he'll use the bumper though if it's on Jake Nichols, because you gotta look at it. I mean, unless he's in a must-win at that point, but looking at it, Ryan Hart's going to be going for the championship next week in Nashville if he can come away with a solid points finish tonight at Richmond. And mentioned it, David Weishart. We've only been here once for the Cup Series back in the first season. David Weishart is the only playoff driver who ran that race and got 2nd. But the winner of that race, Nate Trito, led 156 of the 180 laps here. So it seems like track position might be key if you win that pole.
Gabriel Ellison in the 27, rolling to a stop right now, one of the lowest running in the playoffs on the timing and scoring screen. New Roasted Gems Coffee livery, but is on the outside looking in and could use a little bit of help as well. He's a little closer than David Weishart is in that number 33. And Eric, tonight, the track conditions, it's going to be relatively cool and compliant out there for the most part. We're not racing deep into the night, but it's also not a day race, so we're kind of in this nice, cloudy, overcast evening state where the track should be pretty gripped up.
Absolutely. I mean, for those who pay attention at home, it's 16:40 in the sim, so 4:40 p.m. Local time for Richmond, which is Eastern. The date is March 1st because that is the first allowable date for iRacing to let us run at this track. So, Kyle, the track temp 82, they may heat that up a little bit throughout the night, but I expect that to come down. Obviously, that air temp at 78, unrealistic for one at Richmond this time of year, but up a little bit from the frigid cold, which means the track should stay fairly warm throughout the night, which is why I think it'll expand to a middle groove. I did hear some reports from a couple drivers that the top could be viable, but it's not really going to be the place to be. It's all about, like I said, rooting that guy off the bottom, and the passing is going to be a premium tonight here at Richmond for sure.
It'll be fun to watch. It'll be 160 laps. We first got to qualify, but before we get into that, fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise at twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Qualifying underway. Let's head down to the racetrack now. And Finney, this is a pretty crucial part of this, especially for those playoff drivers, because you want to be near the people you're going to be competing against, which means you can't qualify behind a whole bunch of non-playoff competitors. You'll spend your entire race digging yourself out of that hole.
Yeah, when you see one of the first guys to get out on the track is the 33 David Weiss, starting right on board with him as he starts his flying lap. And one of the guys that we mentioned definitely needs to get a good starting spot. He needs every bonus point he can get, lap sled, most lap sled, and also the win itself. We can see here as he goes off into turn one.
Not to mention keeping the car clean, but considering we're at Richmond tonight, I doubt that'll happen for anyone in the field unless whoever wins pole just drives off into the sunset.
Line here right up against the outside wall. Eric, is that something you would expect to see? You mentioned a couple different groups of racing, but here in Richmond in recent years I've actually seen that high line and be pretty effective in the real world. Are we expecting to see kind of bottom and middle, or do you think that high lane will be viable as well?
In the race, absolutely. I expect the high line to become a little more viable, but pretty much everything here in qualifying is all about lap number 2. There's just not enough time to get enough heat in the tires for lap number 1, so these guys are going to be putting all their chips in on lap number 2 and making the best they can out of it. David Weishart right there going to the top of the board. We get to see a playoff guy, Ryan Hartz, right here. But pretty much it's going to be arcing the corners here in qualifying. They want to carry as much speed down in, but then straighten that exit up off, especially off turn 4 with that sweeping front stretch. Not exactly straight. Power down means more speed.
Ryan Hart's first lap, a little slow, but lap 2 I think is going to be the pickup lap for most people as Reinhardt's rolls up onto the back straightaway. Sun directly in the eyes of the competitors right now. It's going to drop below the grandstands by the time we get into the race here. But Reinhardt's trying to now best Jake Nichols, who went to the top of the board on his first lap. Hart's now on lap number 2, goes second quick.
Oh, and it's only 0.003 of a second shy. You see Jake Nichols coming to a stop there on the front stretch because he, like you mentioned, only went for pretty much one flying lap and got it done just barely by 0.003 of a second over Reinhardt.
And there's Greg Mitchell in the number 2, looking to thwart this top 3. He was 4th quickest in practice. See if he can carry that same pace here in qualifying. Got 2 laps to do so. He messed up on lap 1. No worries about it, just don't mess up on lap 2.
Greg Mitchell up to 7th. And Jacob Bell's on track. Kind of a slow take for a lot of the playoff competitors. Here's Ricky Springer in the number 18. And Finney, this is going to be an important one for Ricky.
I was going to say, keep an eye on him because I saw him coming to complete his first lap. It looked like he went quick, or at least try to go quick on this lap. Up to 3rd at the moment. Looks like he's going to go for another attempt on lap number 2. Another driver we keep talking about in the playoffs. His playoff run has been really, really solid so far. He's not locked in, has an okay margin, third in the points, 11 points from the cutoff. He needs to have a decent night to make sure he can make it onto the final four as he comes out of turn 4 and across the line. Again, does he improve from third place? It looks like he will not.
He just needs to clean that. He just can't get into any mess, can't get involved in any situation or be a third party in anything. As long as he stays out of trouble, he should be fine, although 11 points not that much. If you're relatively clean in the race, you should be okay. And speaking of okay, Michael Kern is okay after that, again, that impressive win from Auto Club. When he was P6 going into turn 3 and then came out P1 in an unbelievable finish. So he can race with ease tonight. And that lap, he'll race with ease in third, so he'll be up towards the front.
Yeah, it was a really strong qualifying run, and he can just rest easy. And that win came, as you mentioned, out of turn 4 at Auto Club Speedway. Every time you go to a place like that, Finian, you're just hoping and praying the leaders get tangled when you're back there as far as 6th or 7th or beyond. And it happened to the 24. So he's locked into Nashville. He is going to be competing for a championship, unlike Rafe Slate here, the number 8, who gets his first lap here. Started in qualifying, but for the 8, I think the battle isn't over yet. They're just trying to pick up race wins. They almost did last week.
Yeah, so close yet so far. Unfortunately, the opportunity presented itself. Wasn't quite able to get past the 24 of Curran to beat him at Auto Club, and I'm sure Curran's happy with that because he can walk out of this week, not having to worry about his playoff chances. As we look at Tyler Nichols, 15th at the moment in the 41 machine. Also wanted to point out, look at our playoff competitors. 5 of them in the top 5, and then you have David Weiser back in 8th. Still no lap for Ellison or DeLeo, and both of them are in critical positions.
Looking here at qualifying, well, as soon as I was about to say that, Rafe Slate goes to 5th quickest, but a good bit of the playoff drivers are up towards the front, and Slate just took that 5th spot away from Ricky Springer. Here comes, that's Gabriel Ellison, the 27. Him and Dom DeLeo are the only playoff drivers who have yet to put out qualifying time, but I would expect them to be inside the top 10 based off what I'm seeing here.
So, Eric, tonight we've got a handful of playoff competitors that are really on the outside looking in, and Gabriel Ellison, I think, is one of them. When you look at the different strategies drivers are going to employ tonight, how aggressive are you going to be in terms of your pit stop strategy, in terms of your race strategy, to try to get yourself a win? Because, just pointing your way in, it's possible, but how late do you wait to commit to that as your full-time strategy and put it all out on the line to go get it or lose it?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Ryan Hartz, in my opinion, is the only one who can really point his way in unless something catastrophic happens to Ricky Springer or Travis Beckner. So the likes of Gabriel Ellison, Dominic DeLeo, David Weishart, I play the game. I mean, I look at it this way. It's 160 laps tonight here at Richmond. It can be a one-stop on fuel if you really want to push that, but I think tires are pretty valuable. So I would not be surprised to see someone like Dominic DeLeo maybe try the 2 or even a 3-stop strategy. It all depends on how the cautions are going to fall, which I also would not be surprised to see it be plentiful. I don't know if you could pull out to the blimp shot while Dom's on track here, but there's quite a bit of rubber laid down on the backstretch off of turn 2 that goes to the inside wall because drivers are just struggling for grip out of 2, especially. Let's see what Dominic DeLeo does here, but I would not be surprised, Kyle, to see these guys visit me 2-3 times under green if it were to be a green flag race the whole way. I highly doubt that would happen.
Yeah, green flag from flag to flag at a short track is probably unlikely on the list of things to have happen, but it's certainly possible. Dom DeLeo goes 18th quick on lap 1 and needs to do better than 12th to not be the slowest of the 8 playoff drivers. And Finian, that would be not a great way to start the night, is to have every single one of your competitors ahead of you.
Yeah, just needs to make sure he gets off turn 4. Okay, and he does across the line. Is quick enough, though, for the 22 machine, and that'll put him up only to 11. So he's just ahead of Ellison. Will not be the last, but second to last of the playoff drivers. Not the best, not the worst either.
Shane Abbey here going to put down a lap time in qualifying. So we got Ellison and DeLeo, the only 2 outside the top 10. Weishart's going to have his work cut out for him, even though he's starting inside of the top 10, but being at 24 points out, it's got to be quicker than that. And Shane Abbey goes 12th quickest on the board.
Abbey goes P12. Andrew Player's on track. Bryce Senesac is on track as well. Douglas Newbegin the closest to finishing out qualifying effort in that number 71 Chevrolet. Here he comes. And lap 1 is 22.554. Andrew Player does a 22.579. And Bryce Senesac now rolling out of turn 2.
And Senezek looks like he might be one of the final guys to put a qualifying time down.
Change of scheme here. He's always in green. This time he's in red. Is that a bad thing?
Trying something different. I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily if your luck's going the wrong way. There is a stigma around green race cars.
Yeah, I was just about to say it. There is a stigma, so trying to see if he can avoid it. 20th on the board at the moment. See if he can improve to really show that paint scheme change is giving him some luck.
I just see red as a color of just anger.
Well, in anger, goes up to 12th quick with a 22.320, and he will be the last qualifier in this session. Seth Noel, Alan Balacino, and Ryan Swan, no takers in that qualifying session. So 29 drivers, 26 of which have made their qualifying runs. And on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see your tentative starting lineup there with Jake Nichols currently at the top of the board.
Yeah, and I think at this point, pretty much to be expected. Actually, what number pole position is for him? This will be his 4th pole position of the season.
That one stings, though, Finian, because Ryan Hart's 3/1000ths away from getting a bonus point that he desperately needs in this playoff picture. Bonus point for pole position.
So qualifying is complete here. Jake Nichols is on top. And in just a moment, we're going to get our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. And we got a short warm-up period here before we get under green for our 160-lap race. This is the penultimate race of the season, and that means that while there are drivers in playoff contention, that'll be our main focus tonight. Fitting, there's also lots of drivers that don't care at all about the points, and all they want to do now is pick up a win. So how do you reconcile those two things? You've got most of the field going for a win, and some of the field going really A, for a win, or B, just to point their way into the Nashville playoffs. How messy can this get, and what's your strategy if you're a non-playoff competitor?
If you're a non-playoff competitor, it's like you said, there's nothing really points-wise you got to worry about. I think with them, really, the big things, they can be a little bit more risky on strategy. They don't have to worry about, potential harsh repercussions because they're not out there they're not out there needing good point states. Just trying to get some wins by the end of the season. I think really the big thing for them is, hopefully they want to be a little bit nicer to just not wreck, not get involved with the playoff drivers, race them cleanly. You can still race them hard, just try not to hit them and take them out because then you got a lot of angry drivers at you for interfering with that playoff battle.
So time to head down to the racetrack now for our starting lineup presented by Roasted Gems Coffee. We're going to get a 2-lap pace lap period here. Let's head down to the grid for our starting lineup. On row 1, in the number 91, leader of the points, has the most wins this season. It's Jake Nichols. Ryan Hart's winless this season, trying to make sure he ends up at Nashville. He starts in second.
Yeah, try to see if he can pick up a win here. That'll be crucial for him. Behind him, Michael Curran has no worries tonight. He's locked into the Final Four. Travis Beckner, another playoff driver, trying to race his way in 4th.
Row 3 is Rafe Slade, the first non-playoff competitor in that number 8 Ford. Ricky Springer starts 6th in the number 18, looking to carry on his playoff momentum.
Back in behind them in row 4, it's going to be Michael Sturgill on the inside in the 17 car. The 71 and Douglas Newbegin next to him in 8th place.
In 9th place is Greg Mitchell in the number 2. David Weishart needs a win tonight, starts 10th in the 33.
Back at 11 is going to be Dante Ballard in the 21 machine with Bryce Senezak in the 09 next to him in 12th place.
13th place is Dom DeLeo in the number 22, playoff competitor that also really needs luck to fall his way. Shane Abbey just looking for a win. He starts 14th.
Nichols is going to be back in row number 8 on the inside in the 41 with Gabriel Ellison next to him in 16th in the 27, and another playoff driver, I think the last of the playoff drivers, back in 16th.
17th place is Jacob Bell in the Lodgebox Chevrolet. To his outside, the Solar Flare Racing 81, Dwayne Culberson starts 18th.
Ed Robertson's going to be rolling off in the 64 and 19th tonight with Jordan Martin next to him in the 11 and 20th.
21st place is going to be Jonathan Cogswell in the number 26. Andrew Player starts 22nd in the number 13.
Back in 23rd, it's Garrett Grant in the 5 car with Brad Slaughter Jr. in the 80 in 24th.
25th place is Mark Patterson in the number 51. James Scioli, recently eliminated from the playoffs, starts 26th in the number 7.
Yeah, poor qualifying effort for him. Then we have Alan Ballacino in the 70, who was making a lot of noise last week, starting back in 28th, with Seth Noel in 27th, and the one car on his inside. And rounding out your car grid of 29 cars, going to be 19 Ryan Swan.
All right, look at the race analysis for tonight in the Area Cup Series. 160 laps, about 115 miles. Tonight's going to be an interesting one, Finian. It's going to be all out here for the playoff competitors, just trying to make it here. If this race goes green from start to finish, this race could go by very quickly. It'd take less than an hour. Do we think it's going to do that? No. It's been a little bit treacherous. We'll see how it goes. Real quick through the ordering, Finian, who you got winning this thing?
Ooh, who do I got winning this thing? That's going to be a tough one. I'm trying to look here who I feel has got it. I'm going to say, you know what? I want to put money on the 3 Ryan Harts. Looking pretty quick here.
And Hunter Slepping, who you got winning tonight in this 160-lap race?
One step further, I'll add another 3 to that. So give me the 33 of David Weissart. Needs a win to get into the championship 4. I feel like he'll be capable enough of driving through the field and pulling it off.
Eric Wineland, who you got?
It's going to be a wild one tonight, boys. I'm fully expecting Delonte Ballard. He claims he's the king of Richmond. Before he gave up iRacing for a couple years, maybe he returns to form here.
I know it might be predictable, guys, but how can you not have the pole sitter in that list somewhere? I'll take Jake Nichols. I'll put my money on the 91 tonight, getting his. What is he up to? Win 9?
Listen, I just left it open for you.
Thanks. Come on, guys. He's won 8 races. How can you bet against that guy?
It's boring.
Okay. Well. All right, guys, time to go racing. 160 laps for the Area Cup Series playoffs. The penultimate round of the season is green. Big stack up on the outside lane, and we're underway from Richmond. Jake Nichols leads lap 1. They're still double wide behind him, trying to get sorted out. There's Greg Mitchell and Ricky Springer in the 18, who did not get a very good start, packed up on that outside lane. He needs to get to the bottom here early. I think the grip will be down there for the opening laps of this one.
Yeah, it definitely looks like, that being said, Ryan Hartz, he actually just powered around the outside of the 24 Michael Curran to seal off second place. 24 is on the attack. Now Ray Slate is on the attack for third place.
Looking on the outside, meanwhile most of the field getting single filed around this 3/4 of a mile racetrack, and a little further back got some more side-by-side action, but Slate's still keeping it tough. Oh, car in the wall. That's Culberson, 81.
Yeah, Culberson just nipped the wall out of turn 2. I don't think it's going to cause him a lot of strife, but that damage can add up. The longer you go in this race, the more times you bang it off the outside retaining wall, the more it's going to hurt you as you move on. Michael Curhan, again, he has to do nothing but show up tonight. Didn't even really have to do that, but he's locked into Nashville and is just focusing forward and trying to pick up another win just for bragging rights before the end of the season.
Yeah, really, if anything, the win for Curran or Nichols, I think, could be big because it could potentially deny some heavy hitters, guys like Ryan Hartz or David Weishart, from getting that win and sealing themselves in. So that could be one thing those guys might want to drive for, is just preventing any potential competition in Nashville.
Speaking of competition, this guy is going to be competition. We already know that Jake Nichols he's basically locked in. He's got over 40 points and, doesn't need a win, but it does help going in, adding on to the rest of the season that he's had. If he wins tonight, it'll be 9 wins with a shot at 10 going into Nashville. Looking a little further back, here's his brother Tyler Nichols duking it out with Jacob Bell, and Nichols' teammate Dwayne Culberson there got out of the wall a couple laps ago, is starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm there on the top, but Garrett Grant making a move down low.
A little bit of a scrap back here. A couple drivers slicing and dicing here early. Jordan Martin to the outside. The 7 is Scioli moving his way forward. And for fourth place, Michael Curran and Travis Beckner. We didn't really talk a lot about him in the pre-race, Finian, but Travis Beckner is one of the drivers that is kind of on the bubble here tonight. And, it's kind of shocking to consider that our Area 500 winner might not make it to the last round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he had an okay run in the first round of the playoffs, 8th at Indianapolis Road, 4th at Las Vegas, but 11th at last weekend at Autoclo was definitely not what he needed, so he can definitely needs to perform better here tonight. So far looking pretty good. He's still in that fight with the 24 of Michael Curran, who's on the outside, still trying to hold that off.
Fun fact, Travis Becker is the only Cup winner this year with the first name beginning with the letter T. And he's only got one win, and that is the Area 500. So he's looking to maybe change that up here tonight, and looking to change things up is David Weissart. He hasn't moved since the drop of the green flag. Got caught there on that outside line that really didn't get a good start. But right behind Ricky Springer, currently in 8th.
Putting some pressure on Ricky and that number 18, who also was stuck in that upper groove and really didn't get a chance to move forward. Ricky, again, has had a surprising playoffs after the normal season wasn't really all that good, Finian, other than the one win he had back in Atlanta. The rest of the season was pretty miserable.
For the lead, Reinhardt's the inside of the 91 of Jake Nichols into turn 1. They're side by side.
This is huge. If he can just lead a lap, that's a bonus point for Ryan Hartz, and that digs into the bubble spot. See if he can get it here. Not this lap, it'll be next one.
Out of turn 4, good run though for the 3, almost beats the 91 to the line. And into turn 1, Hart's on the short way.
Yeah, he just got a great run out of turn 4 the lap prior, and then that's how he's able to make that move in that outside lane. I've been seeing a lot of guys being able to get the great drive off, just like we saw right there. Nichols is going to clear the 3, and he will hold on to the lead.
That tells me though that, sorry Hunter, I was just going to say the 3 has pretty good mid-run pace, but can he hang on to it for the long run, Hunter? That's the real question.
I don't know if anyone can hold on to it for the long run like Jake Nichols can. I mean, we'll see 20 laps from now if the gap separates at all, or if the spots change for first, second, or maybe even third, because Rafe Slade, I was going to say, closed in on that battle. Now he's closer to the bumper than before. On the 3 of Parsons, got an update from Pit Road and Eric Wyman.
Hey guys, just a little update for you. Here's Ryan Hart's radio right there as he was side by side with Jake Nichols.
Come on, Jake, give it to me. God, bro.
Ryan felt that he made the move to make a pass for the lead, but Jake decided he wanted a race, and Ryan subsequently fell back in line. Just didn't have enough drive off to be able to make the pass stick on that 91. It's definitely a thorn in the 3 side.
Signed up for a race, didn't they? The 91's going to race them hard. And after last week, I mean, Nichols was in position to win at Auto Club and had that one taken away from him. So I think there's probably a little extra spice in the step of Jake Nichols after coming up short of his 9th win. And he's trying to best the record from last season, Finian, where he got, I think, was it 9 or 10 wins by the end of that one. So I think he felt a little slighted by that. Sure, he's going to race hard, and as they have all season, hard and fair.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, right? Is that, hey, he's racing hard, at least he's racing fair. I mean, granted, it's only lap 16, so you can't imagine start getting the bumpers out, start being that aggressive. Maybe with 16 to go, we'll see. He's still only just 10% all the way to the finish. I'm watching some battling going on a little bit further back. Dominic DeLeo, Gabriel Ellison in a battle, and DeLeo trying to make some moves forward, trying to look to the inside of the 21 of Ballard.
DeLeo been stagnant as well, along with Gabriel Ellison. They really haven't gone anywhere. Delonte Ballard in the new paint scheme right in front of them. Used to be teammates a season ago there at Fazekas Motorsports, Delonte and Dom, and now they're on separate teams. DeLeo trying to race his way into the championship 4, as is Gabriel Ellison right behind him too. We got a 3-car battle for the 11th spot.
And Bryce Senesek in the mix as well. Dom DeLeo and Ellison fighting for a similar situation, just trying to get themselves above that cut line. I think for both of them, they're going to need a lot of luck and or a victory tonight, and only one driver is going to win this race. And if you're running 13th now, you better be running P1 by the end of lap 160, and that's a pretty tall task given how stout the front of the field is tonight, Finian.
Yeah, especially because they still got the other 6 or 7 drivers in the playoffs ahead to fight with, and all of them, other than really Michael Curran, could really use the win. So they're not going to be giving it up very easily here. They're still battling down the order just outside the top 10.
Senesek looking low there, but the top 3, close to top 4. Becker's been making up a little bit of ground, but Slate right on the bumper of Hartz for the 2nd spot. If you're the 3, what do you do here? Do you just let the 8 go, or do you just continue to fight and try to gain ground back on the leader?
Well, he hasn't lost a lot of ground to him, so I don't think there's any reason to give up on the fight just yet. But if you start to lose some ground and you start to kind of get maybe 5-10 car lengths back, and Rafe is all over you, maybe there's an argument there to let him go. But I think right now you got to race him. Here's Ricky Springer trying to move back forward after dropping from 6th to 8th, looking at 7th on the inside of the 2 with Greg Mitchell.
Yeah, I've been noticing this is another move where Springer just got a really good run out of turn 4. A lot of the moves have been made to turn 1 with guys getting great traction out of turn 4. Springer just trying to seal the deal, but again, that outside lane, it's so hard to beat that run off the corner. But Mitchell not quite getting the run he needs. Springer just going to try to send it here into turn 3. Should be able to clear, and he's got David Weishart in the 33 breathing down his neck.
Weishart continuing to try and get around whatever car in front of him, whether it's Springer or Mitchell. Mitchell falling back to 8th now. Starting to see the top get a little more worn in now as riding off the bumper of Springer as Weishart looking to make a move inside for 8th.
Big lunge by the 2 to try to carry some speed up to the outside of the 18. Not going to be able to do it there, though. And by the way, Alan Balacino on pit lane. Didn't exactly see what for. I don't see a lot of damage on this car, but he's pulled off.
He got loose on lap 18. He got loose off of turn 2 and hit the inside wall. So that's where he's pulling into the pits to get repairs.
Riding back on board with the 33 of Weishart. Had a look inside. Didn't quite work out the way he wanted to, so he's just going to tuck back in line. Continue to lock some laps, and whatever opportunity strikes is going to make that move. Then looking right around the 5th spot, Michael Sturgill and Michael Curran, believe they might have swapped positions. Sturgill moving inside the top 5.
Sturgill's had a couple flashes of brilliance throughout the season. I don't think we've seen it really latch on like we had with some other drivers, but in certain moments he can really prove to be a front runner, and in this race already he's had some pretty good runs, pretty good laps. His best is a 22.496. That is compared to race leaders. 22.406 is his best lap, although the best of anybody so far has been Ryan Hart's with a 22.328, which is almost a full 10th quicker than our race leader. So that, take from that what you will, Finian, but you know, I think that 3 is in a pretty good shape to outrun Jake Nichols if you just get the lead away from him.
Yeah, I also just want to go back to Michael Sturgill. He's actually having the best run of the season so far. He has not had a single top 5, only one top 10 all the way back at Darlington. So the 5s, so the 17 is doing a really solid job. There's a big check up there as you see a battle going on between Ballard and the 27 Gabriel Ellison.
And Ellison going to tuck in the line. Got a conga line forming right behind Delonte.
Eric Wineland on pit lane. What you got?
Hey guys, here's an update for radio from Miller Racing. I'm impressed with how Dawson Miller's spotting skills have gotten better and better as the season's gone.
You're looking a lot better now that you're starting that. I don't think you're using as much tire.
Not only was he helping his driver out that way, but here's Travis Beckner talking sketch on the racetrack and in the point situation.
It'll be way easier.
It is so sketchy out of 2.
Yeah. Just be very easy on the throttle.
Where's Ricky at?
Ricky is 8th. So, don't worry about him. This is race our race.
So Travis has it in the back of his mind, guys, but Dawson's helping to keep Travis focused on the sole goal of making sure they're above the cut line at the end of this race tonight.
Thanks, Eric. And as the race continues to go on here, we're seeing a lot of green flag running, 31 laps in without a caution. Will the handling fall away, Finney? We've seen drivers struggle at the exit of turn 2 in particular. Could that be in the trouble spot that keeps us from having super long green flag runs? Watch the 33, Bob and Weave out of turn 2.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to see there, and I'm really curious about looking at turn 2. Drivers mentioning it's sketchy. We already saw Alan Valacino fall victim to that. He's still in the pits. I don't think he's going to be coming back out. So drivers, I think as the tires are starting to wear themselves out, it's getting more slick, especially off turn 2. Ooh, speaking of which, Travis Beckner, almost a big spin on the back straightaway.
Wow. I wasn't even looking at that. I was looking at Bell making that race move down to the bottom. Take a look at a Simrat market replay with Beckner and his kerfluffle coming out of 2. Woo!
Following right in the tire tracks of those that had accidents before in practice and qualifying. And if that doesn't tell you that that's treacherous, I don't know what will. The fact that the track's rubbered in towards the inside wall, that's about as treacherous looking as it gets.
Yeah, it's only going to get worse for these guys as the night goes on. So if they haven't been watching or being careful of the tire, especially, you know, it's so easy to drive on the rear tires, that's going to become your worst enemy later on in the run.
Now here's Grant looking low on Delonte Ballard as he continues to fall through the field.
Not going the right direction. As the one of Seth Noel Started 27th. He's up 10 spots, make that 11 now. And I don't, yeah, he didn't qualify, so I'd expect him to move forward here, Finney, but he's definitely got some pace in it. And he could be in one of those drivers that's fighting inside the top 5 by the end of this, but again, long green flag running. We'll start wearing off tires as well. We're seeing about a second worth of tire fall off. We'll keep that in mind as well when it comes to undercuts and overcuts in the pit lane.
Yeah, while we're watching this battle, there's an exchange further up between Curran and Sturgill. Sturgill got really tight into turn 2 about 2 laps ago, and that allowed Curran to sneak his way back on through to 5th, and 17's been struggling a little bit more and more. And I can see he's fallen into the clutches of Ricky Springer. Battle for 6th place, about to pursue.
Right at the tail end of that is David Weishart. Again, still trying to get some sort of grip going. Hasn't been able to find a way around the 2, and continuing to close in is 22. Dom DeLeo looking to group up with his teammate there, Greg Mitchell, in 2. That'll be a 5-car race if DeLeo can keep up this pace.
And Springer is only 1 spot shy of being back where he started this race, which was in 6th. Remember, that initial start was not very good for anybody in the outside lane, so Ricky is showing that he's got some good long run pace, and that's going to be useful tonight to maintain his spot in the playoff picture. Chasing down Sturgill here at the exit at turn 2, and he actually looks pretty gripped up. He didn't really have to feather the throttle nearly as much as we've seen some other drivers, Finian, so I think this 18 his car is wearing in very nicely.
Yeah, he's done a really solid job of making his car look good on the long run, as you mentioned. Still trying to pursue Sturgill here. I don't think he's going to be too aggressive. Just wait for the 17 to make a mistake, because I think he's been seeing him start to get worse and worse, especially off of turn 2. Just going to wait for his moment to strike. One driver's been continuously striking, though, is the 7 of James Scully, up 13 spots from 25th. Just made a pass on Gabriel Ellison, as you now see Ricky Springer side by side with the 17.
Springer looking low, getting some love in the chat as well as he's trying to work his way past Sturgill. Again, Springer entered plus 11 to the cutoff. So as long as he keeps it clean, almost touched doors there going into 3. As long as he keeps it clean, should be fine. And now Mitchell looking to take a spot away from Sturgill, but more importantly, right behind. Weishart's got to work his way through. Riding on board the bumper of Springer, gets a tap going in the corner. We cut to Eric Weiland with some juicy info on pit road.
Hey guys, so I don't have the same intensity down here on pit road as what you guys are seeing on the racetrack between these 4 that are absolutely brawling for position number 6 on the racetrack right now. I wanted to give you guys some insight of what it's like being a pit reporter for all of our fans at home that are watching on YouTube or on Twitch. So I decided to go check in on Lucky Duck Motorsports, check in how they're doing, especially playoff driver Gabriel Ellison, and this is how I was greeted.
Hi, pit reporter guy. Big fan.
So the guys love to always have some fun with me, and then Gabriel Ellison was kind enough to try to help me out.
So you want to? I can give you a soundbite if you want.
Well, obviously that wouldn't work. So Douglas Newbiggie, his teammate, got on his case about that one and chimed in.
Can't use that. You cursed. It's over.
And so Gabriel decided to update me with this.
It's mother flipping impossible to pass, man.
So the entire team having fun out here. That's what we love to do here at Area. But man, Gabriel Ellison at 27, not a happy camper right now. Mired in 14th, hasn't really gone anywhere because he started 16th. He says it is mother flipping impossible to pass. Guys, I think that's a potential for a quote of the year right there.
Well, it reminds me of C-Bell from the Coliseum race. It's fun. We're having fun. And Ricky Springer is not. He went back 3 spots in half a lap. After moving forward a few positions, he loses all of it plus 2 more.
Yeah, the handling of the car is starting to get away from him. He got passed by Weishart, Sturgill, and DeLeo, as you saw, almost pretty much in one corner. So handling started to go away on the 18. He's able to save it. Now Douglas Newbiggie and James Scioli, driver I mentioned earlier, making his way through the order, is now just kind of picking him up and putting him down, as a lot of guys are starting to lose the handling on their cars.
15 mother flipping spots.
I was going to say, Ellison was saying it's mother flipping hard to pass. Scully's proving it wrong because he's up 14 spots and still climbing.
Yeah, again, this is one of those races where it seems like if you've got it, you've got it. If you don't, you're stuck in line. And you just have that frustrating moment where you feel like anything you screw up is taken advantage of, but no one else ever screws up around you. I've been there. And I think that's what some drivers are feeling right now. We're very quickly putting laps away here, though, guys, and probably, again, working towards that halfway point and maybe thinking about pit stops on the horizon, but right now just clicking them away. 23-second laps and 110 laps to go.
Yeah, this race has been really clean so far. I think this is one of the longest degree flying runs I can remember here at Richmond. Usually you get, maybe 30, 40 laps. We're approaching now a 50-lap run here. And I think really the main thing we may see with a caution is someone getting loose. And then, especially in this kind of line here around from 7th back to 13th, if someone gets loose and someone kind of punts them around, we could see a caution there.
Looking back towards the front, Ryan Hartz has been a little bit quicker than Jake Nichols the last couple of laps. Don't know if Nichols has caught lap traffic or not, but Ryan Hart's starting to get it dialed back in. The Ada Slade, however, has lost the bumper of Ryan Hartz. He's almost second and a half back, and he's got Beckner and Kern closing in on the bow for third as we go back down the pit road. Derek Wyland.
Hey guys, one more piece of info for you. So you guys documented Ricky Springer went backward very quickly in the span of about half a lap. Yeah, I jumped down there to check in with them, and I had about a 30-second clip that would have been great to use, except I would have had to use the bleep button about every 5 seconds or so, because Ricky is absolutely upset over the radio with car number 17, which is Michael Sturgill, running through him and burning his bleep up too much, and now he has no tire left to fight with. So Ricky Springer on the slide, and he feels it contributed to the fact that felt Michael Sturgill was holding him up, and at the same time decided to try to drive through him, even though he was slower than Ricky Springer. And Ricky now on the mend. He's going to look for a caution. If not, guys, the pit stop window pretty much opens here. If we're two-stopping this race, in about 2 to 5 laps is when the first pit stop window would open. So I would not be surprised to see some guys take advantage of it. I'll keep you guys updated if I see anyone come to me.
Thanks, Eric. And I sense the frustration in the 18. It was one of those moments where you feel like you had a nice clean pass, and then the next moment you look up in the mirror and all you have is the guy that you just passed driving through you. So it was a minor little bump there, but I can see how that could escalate frustrations. What it's challenging is Beckner goes for another slide out of turn 2.
Yeah, he's really struggling with handling his car. Could be one of the first drivers you may see come down the pit lane as he's still trying to hold on to that thing as Curran's now mounting pressure for 4th place.
Riding on board with the 24 of Kern, trying to muster up some strength and get around Beckner, but although he did win last week at Auto Club, so this could be just a stroll in the park for him, but he still wants to have a solid finish here. And looking back up towards the front, the gap has closed between Nichols and Hartz over the last few laps. That 3 has been a little bit quicker than Nichols over the last 5 laps or so. Could be looking at a pass here potentially for the lead.
Yeah, it looked like Hartz was a little bit slow, or a little bit quicker in the very short run and a little bit faster in the long run. It's just that middle portion that he seemed to kind of fall away from. So Ryan Hartz, I think based on it being on a short track, you're either going to get really short runs or really long runs. And I think Ryan's got the right speed for both of those things. And Jake's going to have to start worrying about this here again a little bit. Because if I'm looking at the drivers I want to fight in the playoffs, Finian, I don't want to fight this 3. He's been rock solid all season. I know he hasn't won races, but man, if I got to battle somebody, I definitely would pick a whole lot of other drivers other than Hartz, because this 3 car has been in the picture. He's been as fast as Jake, and you want to eliminate as many competitors as you can headed into Nashville.
Absolutely, Aaron. Actually, one thing these guys are also catching up is on some lap traffic, so that could be an issue here as they're fighting. Still, you see 2 guys battling for position just ahead of them. That is Mark Patterson, Andrew Player fighting out for 25th.
Oh, car in the back straightaway, sideways. It's Scioli gathering it back up. Have a look at this. This was a wild moment for the number 7.
I'm not too surprised. Every time I've been kind of watching making passes, I've been saying he's been making up some ground, but he's been driving on that rear tire a lot. And you see right there, leaving marks coming out of turn 2. He's been using up those rear tires, and I think he's going to start feeling them start feeling it being used up pretty soon as we see drivers coming down pit lane.
Yeah, early stop for Delonte Ballard and Eric Wineland. He's coming down to you.
Hey, so this is right in that window where I said these guys might think about two-stopping this race. Delonte's the first to pull the trigger. I'm going to watch here as I have some radio for you in a moment. Right side's up on the 21. And down, he's going to go left sides as well. All 4 tires here for the 21. So he's the first to flinch. See if anybody decides to follow him here. But you guys were documenting Ryan Hartz closing in on Jake Nichols still. Ryan Swan did not start the race, but he is helping out the Weishart Racing Group. And this is what he had to say about Ryan Hartz and Jake Nichols.
Hartz is figuring something out.
So he's taking note for the rest of the Weishart team that Ryan Hartz is starting to figure something out, and he is very much a threat to potentially win this race, guys.
Thanks, Eric. And here comes Hartz again for the race lead. Behind them, by the way, getting spicy between Rafe Slade and the 28 of Travis Beckner. And I've seen this battle happen before as the 28 slides out of turn 2.
And he's going to put the nail in that coffin there as Beckner, he's able to bounce back and try to fight off Curran in the 24. But the 24 should get the run off of turn 4, and he will secure that 4th place spot. So Beckner down 2 spots in 1 corner.
Tough spot to be in, too, if you're the 21 Delonte Ballard. You got to fresh your tires, but they're battling for position right in front of you. You got to know where to go.
Yeah, it makes things...
They're still going at it.
Yeah, I think the 21 kind of slicing and dicing made things pretty complicated. Eric Wine, what you got?
Radio from Rafe Slade about the move that Travis Beckner just made.
Why he decided to go for that and slow us down while we were catching the leaders, I have no idea.
I happened to join right as Travis was making that move on Rafe Slate, which obviously did not work out for either driver. They ended up losing more time to the leaders, guys. It's just a matter of working lap traffic at this point and seeing what they can do on old tires. I'm really intrigued to see what Delonte can do here on these fresh tires because he's the fastest on track. Caution on the speedway.
And Garrett Grant is the cause. First caution of the night. And that's going to mix up a little bit of strategy for the 21 in particular. Let's go back and see what happened to the number 5. And it's probably going to be just a little bit of a loose condition. This is coming onto the front straightaway. And the crash will happen up onto the back.
Yeah, you're going to see him get there. You see everyone getting down low in the lane. He's already loose on entry, and then he's going to come down just a little bit, clip the apron, and send him around for a self-spin. Didn't even really completely spin up on enough to trigger the yellow.
And I was going to go to the point of Slate not being happy with the move that Beckner made. He entered tonight as the last driver in on points. So if Ryan Hartz gets around Jake Nichols, not only is Hartz locked in and goes on the win, he's locked in, Nichols is locked in, Springer would also be locked in, and that would leave Beckner out. So Beckner's got to get every position that he can to try and get up towards the front or have a big enough cushion where Ryan Hartz can't get in. It's all a mind game here as we're approaching halfway.
The car's on pit lane. Everybody's going to come on down and get tires here. This is a nice little reset, and this will make this a one-stop race to the end. Pretty much on strategy with what Delonte Ballard was going to try. I think some drivers would have tried to go to that halfway point, make it a one-stopper, but now it is just going to be a one-stopper from here to the end, which is going to simplify the strategy a lot. And for some drivers like Jake Nichols and Ryan Hartz, that's going to be a good thing. They don't have to worry about anyone trying to, get creative with it, Finian.
Yeah, and you're going to see the race off pit lane here. Did anyone make a mistake? Did anyone gain? It's going to be Nichols, Hartz, Rafe Slate, and Michael Curran. Travis Beckner, your top 5.
And the the 7 car in 8th place, James Scioli.
Up. I think he got bopped for speeding.
That's not what I was going to say. I was going to say he made up a lot of ground, and I think that explains why.
Well, we'll have to do it again. Man, that stinks. Start all the way back in 26 as well, so that's almost dead last. Just to work your way inside the top 10, and the speed on pit road, oh man.
Yeah, it wasn't even close with the speeding. He jumped out of his box. He went up to 47 miles an hour. And for reference, the pit road speed limit is 40 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say that he made up a lot of ground, but there's only really one way you can make up that much, and that's by doing 7 over. Not quite like how it works on the highway. The 8 is great, 9 your mind. That was 7 you penalize them for. Eric Wineland, what you got?
I will pull you out of this one, Kyle. Don't worry. Yes, James Scioli was speeding on pit road. He said, nah, I just wanted to pass everybody once again. That's what the quote I had, though I didn't record it for you guys. But here's some radio from Delonte talking to his Solar Flare teammate.
I'm screwed.
You can get one back. You're fine.
Oh, yeah.
All you got to do is get a quick yellow, which I'm not even bothered
because I think it's going to breed another caution hold.
So they're hoping for another quick yellow there in the Solar Flare Racing camp so they can get Delonte Ballard in the 21 back on the lead lap. If I'm hoping for it just so I can see my pick to win the race get back on the lead lap, because I liked it. He tried something different on strategy, and unfortunately it didn't quite work out. So he did gain 1 lap back, but he was 2 down after the pit cycle, so he's still 1 lap down for this ensuing green flag this ensuing restart coming up, guys. Just a matter of whether bunching the field back up is going to produce another yellow.
Yeah, no, before we go back, I just wanted to mention something really funny I heard in the chat under caution. Garrett Grant not having particularly fun. He said whoever designed this car deserves a swift kick in the you-know-what.
Man, everyone's a real fan of the next-gen car at Richmond, huh?
I'm sure the leaders are a fan of it. The guys in the back, probably not as much of a fan of it.
Well, we're going to be restarting this time through lap number 70. We're going to be about 11 laps from halfway at this stage. Jake Nichols is going to be in command. And here we go. I mean, I like Delonte Ballard's strategy. I liked it better before the caution came out, and I do like their prediction that we'll get another caution as cautions breed cautions. Green flag back in the air here from Richmond. Great jump by somebody on the outside lane there. 3 abreast. That's Seth Noel again with a wild start.
Looked like he's scraping the wall there.
He has a knack for these really crazy restarts. We'll see if he can hold it here. He's going to get forced way down to close to the wall. Almost going to scrape into it. Some door-to-door contact down the back straightaway.
Not a whole lot of room there, especially if you're the 22 DeLeo. You don't want to be in that or get caught up in anything, because if you wreck, you're out. And he's already at 20 points below the cutoff line just heading into tonight. Meanwhile, up front, Jake Nichols pulled out to a half-second lead. Got a good restart. The 3 did not, although he just took second away from Slate. Back on the outside is Beckner looking for that 3rd spot. He and Slate had a little run in before the caution came out. See if they settle down here.
They have had issues before. It wouldn't be shocking to see them go wild again. Ricky Springer trying to move back forward again. He really needs to kind of get his night going in the right direction after getting shuffled out of the way by that 17. And he looks like he's hunting him down here into turn 3, Finian.
I was going to say, he's a man on a mission, needs to make up some spots. Was really good in the early part of the run, but then really fell off towards the later half as the tires started to slip up. Ooh, Seth Noel on the wall on entry, still continuing on the top side.
Working for him in the early run. He's got inside the top 10 because of that. Meanwhile, Beckner and Slate, this battle will not go away just yet. Slate still looking to take that spot away. Might lean on the 28 a little bit, but right behind them, you got Weishaupt and Kern going at it for the top 5 spot.
Good battles all the way around the racetrack. I just fear if this one gets hands-on, it's going to end in tears for somebody. The 24 and 33, the battle in the background. And then it's single file a long ways back after that. Jake Nichols sprinting away from Hartz in the short term. Slate past Beckner, and then the 24 really wide out of turn 4. Here comes the 2 of Greg Mitchell.
Yeah, David Weiser taking that spot, finally breaking inside the top 5. Now he's mentioned the 2, Greg Mitchell, now trying to make some noise. Going to work to the inside of Curran. Again, Curran's in a spot he doesn't really need to care a whole lot of where he finishes, so doesn't really need to fight that particularly hard, but he's still going to try to race it out and see where he can finish. He's going to continue fighting with the 2 for 6th place.
Springer going to try and fight back towards the front. The car fell away there at the end of that opening stint before the yellow came out. Curran's still trying to rip the top though, but the one of Seth Noel is quietly, well, I shouldn't say quietly. He did place himself in 8th. Springer trying to look to the outside, but really got nowhere to go. Got single file for the first 9 cars or so.
I think Springer's got speed. He doesn't necessarily have the consistency or the ability to pass like we've seen some other cars do. Give Ricky some clear racetrack. I think he's really one to watch, but when he gets bogged down behind other people, he has trouble getting back by them, which might hurt him here tonight. You got to have the ability to pass like we've seen with the 7. By the way, James Scioli back up a couple spots from his end-of-line penalty up to 20th place.
Yeah, I think he's actually decent in the medium runs because he moved himself. He started the race around 9th or 10th after that, being losing spots in the initial start, climbed his way all the way around to 6th place, and then he really started to fall off towards the tail end. So I'm not sure if he learned to be a little bit more conservative. Maybe he's trying to be a little bit more conservative with the tires this run because he thinks there's going to be a longer green flag run, especially now that we're single file. But we'll have to see here. He's got some ways to go from 9th.
And continuing to make up ground on the 91 of Jake Nichols as the 3 of Ryan Hartz. Got right up to the bumper again. Hasn't been able to do anything, but got Slate back on the bumper. Beckner, Weishaupt all bumper-to-bumper traffic here throughout the first 10 cars or so. Go down the pit road with an update from Eric Wyman.
Hey guys, update from David Weishart Racing, specifically David Weishart and James Scioli, talking about one of the weird quirks of the next-gen car.
I mean, it is incredible how much difference the force feedback makes. I can feel the tires.
Yeah, I had to crank mine.
Yeah.
So guys, one of the weird things that I noticed when the next gen first came out was, especially with my little Logitech G920 that I have, which, you know, good entry level wheel, didn't really feel too well. The wheel felt very loose, not a ton of feedback. And I have personally cranked up my next gen feedback when I'm in this car, and it sounds like that's what Weishart and Scioli have done to get a little more feel of what the tires are doing here at Richmond, and it may pay big dividends because obviously it's proving that the tires are wearing, and these guys need to hang on to what they have, because if you burn them up too early like Gabriel Ellison did, you can go from having a heroic short run car to an absolutely abysmal long run car, guys.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you bring that up, Eric, just mostly because of how many changes were made in the steering rack on the next gen from the Gen 6. There was a lot of adjustments and a new bespoke steering box for this car that drivers in the real world struggled to get a handle of. So increasing the feedback is a great tool as we got the battle for the lead heating up here on the back straightaway. Hart's to the inside of the 91. For the first time, can somebody wrestle the lead away from Jake Nichols? And can Hart's lead this lap out of turn 4 to the stripe? Hart's leads his first lap of the night.
And he might be able to get it done here into turn 1. We'll just be able to throw the car to the inside. The 91 Nichols knows that. He's going to go a little bit hard, try to cut back down, get a run off the corner, but it's going to be Hart's that'll secure the lead.
Well, secured for now is the 91. We'll see what he does here on this long run. See if we can get a longer run and preserve some of that tire wear. Let the 3 go out, lead some laps. The 8 of Slade. Boy, his eyes widened as soon as he saw the 91 go super high going into 1 that last time by. And now just riding in third once again.
Nice sunset also tonight. Very pretty skies here at iRacing this evening, and all the drivers are completely oblivious to it because they're focused on other battles at the moment.
Unless they have VR, in which case they're going to be absolutely blinded going into turn 3.
I noticed for whatever reason on my new monitors, which are 32-inch 1440p monitors, when I'm driving now, the sunsets are really, really, really obnoxious. And I always thought that was just a VR thing, but even on the settings I have now with HDR on, my goodness.
Oh no, HDR makes it significantly worse. It makes it very, very, very tough to see. Very immersive, but very tough to see, especially if you're trying to make a move down into turn 3, which we honestly haven't really seen a whole lot of moves down there. We've mostly seen moves into turns 1 and 2.
We'll see if the 8 of Slate can make a move. He's quickly got to the bumper of the 91 machine of Nichols. Looking a little further back, the playoff driver Ricky Springer entered plus 11 to the cutoff tonight in a battle between Seth Noel for the 8th position. Still got a run there on the inside, but I was going to say, we've already seen one non-playoff driver be... oh, there goes the 18 of Slate, or 18. Again, my drivers and members confused, but I was going to say, we've already had one non-playoff driver not afraid to send it in on Jake Nichols. Could Slate be another non-playoff driver to send it in to Nichols?
Remember what happened last week? Auto Club. We didn't think it could happen, but indeed it did, Finian. That last turn dive, and by Conor Okrezik on the 91 at Auto Club Speedway, and Nichols has to be a little bit mindful now that he knows that all the drivers are looking at him going, yeah, he's got 8 wins. I can be a little aggressive with him because he's not on the bubble. He'll still make it through if I screw this up.
Speaking of which, on the bubble, a big shout out to Eric Wineland trying to make a graph of who's in, who's not, the point situation as they run. At the moment, it is stupidly close for those final 2 spots. Ricky Springer, Reinhardt's are actually... oh, no, he just updated it. Hang on. Eric's updating it. It's going all over the place. There we go. Ricky Springer, Reinhardt's tied for the points with Travis Beckner 1 point behind them in 5th. So it is really close.
Close indeed on the bumper on the front of Beckner, trying to get to the bumper of Slate. Needs every position he can, but Hart's wins. Beckner be out.
David Weishart trying a different line here in turn 2 to get a better run. Moving up the racetrack here a little bit. Ooh, the 28 scraping the wall down the back straightaway. and into turn 3. The 28 drifts up and back down, and he's trying to line up a run here on that 8 car. And if I'm Jake Nichols, I don't want to be near these guys because these two Finian have been absolutely sketchy tonight with how close they've been battling.
Yeah, and again, for Nichols, he's in a situation where it pretty much doesn't matter. He's pretty much locked in unofficially based off of points. So it doesn't matter if he's there, so he doesn't have a whole lot to worry about. I mean, obviously, he still wants to win this race. He definitely should probably stay away from these two, or maybe even consider letting these two on by if they start to get too rowdy for position. Also looking back at Ricky Springer, still surprised he's not been able to find a way around the one of Seth Noel. You see he's been losing some position, track position to Curran and company up the road as he's got more company building up behind Shane Abbey in the 12.
All closing in, trying to move further off as they've got a good bit to go before they get to Michael Curran. That's about 1.2 seconds separating that 7th and 8th place battle. Looking back over 13th, Gabriel Ellison, he has not gone anywhere since they restarted. Him and Dom DeLeo have kind of been stagnant here, running in car with 27. He needs a solid run to have a chance at chasing for a championship.
They're the drivers in the biggest trouble. Not running particularly well and didn't have anything to lean on. Look at the top of the screen. The 09 to Bryce Senesac right at the bumper of Ellison, and right out the windshield is Sturgill. And this is what they mean when they say they're having trouble passing. You're just kind of sandwiched in the slightest little mistake, you're going to get pounced on.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is just trying to make sure you don't make a mistake. In fact, really, we haven't seen a whole lot of too many mistakes, despite all the complaining from the drivers with the handling. Only a few drivers, spinning, getting sideways off of turn 2, hitting the wall, and bringing out a caution. It's been relatively clean and mistake-free. Again, we still got a little under half the race left to go as things start to heat up as the race comes to a close.
We're actually a little further along there, working lap 100 of 160, so just 60 laps left to go, and battle for the lead again. Jake Nichols down the inside, sends it into turn 3 to try to get up alongside the Ryan Hart's machine. And Ryan Hart's has been seeking a victory all season long. What it would mean to him to just flat out outrun somebody tonight. He has refused to move people, and I'm sure he'll be afforded the same respect in return. Here's Nichols, though, thinking about it into 3.
Yeah, thinking about making a move, and really, I think Nichols at this point really won't do anything to the 3 Ryan Hart's despite Hart's frustration and not being able to get past or beat the 91, he still raced him clean. And I think we're going to see that same respect here as Nichols is trying to just do everything he can. You see him entering high, cutting down low, just trying to build up a run, do everything he can, but physically move the 3 of Ryan Hart's, which unfortunately, it being Richmond, you may have to actually move someone to make a pass done. Almost did see the 24 Michael Curran move Weiser out of the way a few laps ago. He did issue the apology as that almost came close to a wreck.
Well, if the 91 gets into the back of the 3, then it's all off there. I mean, at some point, the 3 is going to have to move the 91 out of the way, and especially with how clean he's raced Jake Nichols. He could have moved him out of the way for a couple of wins, decided not to. If Jake Nichols decides to move in here tonight, boy, it could get ugly.
The gloves the gloves have stayed on all season because they have afforded each other that respect. The second one of those drivers takes off the gloves and puts the bumper to him, it's fair game, all right? I mean, and when it comes down to whoever wins this championship, if it's between the 3 and the 91 and they go into turn 4 nose to tail, the reason the guy that leads into 3 will lead out of 3 is because of the respect that they have given each other all year long. And that is something that is earned, not just given willy-nilly. So these two have raced each other with respect all season long, but make no mistake, if someone steps over the line, whoever's 3rd on the last lap will be the winner at Nashville next week.
It's really ironic because the 2 people in behind them arguably don't have a whole lot of respect for one another. They've been butting heads all season long, including in this race. So we'll see how it ends up with them 2. Although they have been fighting pretty clean so far on this run ever since the green flag dropped for the restart. Becker's in pursuit of Slate. I don't think he's been too anxious because he's sitting in 4th. That being said, I don't know if he exactly knows the playoff situation at the moment, in which case that might increase his anxiousness here as we look back. Speaking of the playoffs, DeLeo trying to make a move to the inside of Shane Abbey.
This is to get inside the top 10 and to do something to try and make a dent into the Final Four. The 22 Leo's trying to do, just can't quite get it. They're tight in the middle, 1 and 2. Abby's going to take the spot away, but Leo might have to send it in down here into turn 3. Got Michael Sturgill on the bumper, close to making contact there, and then Gabriel Ellison not too far behind either.
55 laps to go. It's about 20 minutes worth of racing. That's how quick everything's been going by tonight. Just one caution so far this evening is that, no, there's going to be our second. If the 12 can't hang on to this, he does. Gets the bumper from the 22, and see ya. Shane Abbey drops 3 spots.
Yeah, that was really close to being a caution. Looking back at it there, the 22 just comes up the hill after throwing it in too hard. Hits the 12, hits him back to kind of straighten him out. That could have been disastrous, and I'm sure Abby's not happy with that. He's right back in behind. I'm sure he's going to get the 22 on his radar now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, we got a conga line forming here between DeLeo and Jordan Martin, but yeah, it's another thing to take into consideration there. If you're a playoff driver like DeLeo, you got to do what you can do to try and get inside that Final Four, and sure, the 12 would know that, but also be upset at the same time because it is valuable track position.
Ooh, David Weiser loose off of turn 2. Michael Curran trying to make a move on him into turn 3.
So before we get too deep into the tail end of the race and all the different playoff scenarios, let's remind you again the way that tiebreakers are set in the area series. Number of wins this season, number of top 5s, number of top 10s. Pretty standard and straightforward. But when it comes to tiebreakers between guys like Ricky Springer and Ryan Hartz, or even Springer and Beckner, Springer's going to win those tiebreakers, guys. He's won more races than those other drivers. So keep those in mind, and then it'll fall to a number of tiebreakers, or excuse me, number of top 5s. But I don't think a lot of drivers have the same number of wins, so it really shouldn't have to go to that level.
Yeah, no, it really shouldn't. And again, if Ryan Hartz wins, he's got nothing to worry about. It just becomes down to Beckner and Springer as they run. And again, I'm curious if either one of them knows what the current point situation is looking like. It's got Eric Weinland back with us from Pit Road. Eric, what you got?
Hey guys, here's some radio from the Zekas Motorsports camp. Greg Mitchell, Ray Slate talking to each other here.
Getting sketchy coming off, that's for sure. I'm still not really pushing it. We had a pretty good run on them after what, like 40 laps or so?
Yeah.
So those two feel they're moving their way forward a little bit. Ray still running third, Greg in 5th right now. And as you guys are documenting, this points battle starting to line up pretty tight here towards the finish of this race. But we still have one more pit stop for these guys because they are just, I think they were outside their fuel range, guys, when we made that stop under yellow about 45 laps ago. But this is the midway point of the stint. If you're going to do it, it's about the window to do so. So I would not be surprised to see anybody else come down pit road, maybe someone that needs to really make a move like Gabriel Ellison in the 27.
David Weishart dropped a whole bunch of time, down to 8th place the last lap or two. And with expecting those pit stops coming here shortly, look at this little scrabble on the backstretch. Before we get too deep into this, though, we've got not a lot of cautions to go through, so we're going to take this opportunity now to thank SimWrap Market. Fans, be sure to check out simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. And be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. Here's Scioli on Senesac. That's for 13th place. The guys, we're getting closer and closer to the end of this. Pit stops looming. Strategy and undercuts, overcuts, all that about to come to a head here.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was looking at it here. I'm curious when these guys are going to start coming down pit stops because they're just about 49, 50 laps on their stint. And we got, 45 laps left to go? So we're starting to run out of time here where the tires are going to be worth it. So we're going to see when we start to see these guys trickle down pit lane. If I'm them, I would start coming right about now down the next 5 to 10 laps.
Imagine what the 3 of Hearts is going through. Do you come in and pit or do you just stay out there? He's got a half-second gap over the 91 of Jake Nichols, but this is tough. We're nearing 40 to go. I don't know. This is
not a position you want to be in.
Yeah.
You want you've been chasing a win all season. You just want it to come to you without any difficulties. You want to go out there, lead every lap, have the race fall your way and win. You don't want to be out there sweating, thinking about different strategy calls and how you're going to throw it away. It's very stressful way to look at it, especially when it could mean you're just automatically locking your way into the Nashville finale. So I can commiserate with Ryan Hartz on that. It's going to be a tough night if that's kind of how close we are on the line.
Yeah, I really think for him, I feel like he's going to have to try to beat the 91 down the pit lane because it's, almost 1.3 seconds a lap that these guys are off of their best times. Actually, a little bit more than that, about a second and a half off their best time. So he's going to have to try to beat the 91 down to pit lane, and it's kind of hard. Like you said, when do you decide to come down? Because you don't want to come in too early, you also don't want to come in too late, because it's hard to pass out there, especially conventionally making the pass.
I don't want to come in too hot either, because if you overslide your pit entry, that might do it for you. And especially with the long run that we've had, the tires are going to be cooked, so you got to get a thing low down just before your pit box. Don't want to get into any trouble. We're looking at a race recap. Only one caution tonight for 6 laps. 2 leaders and 1 lead change. It's somewhat similar to what we had in season 1. That 3 leaders, 5 lead changes, but 0 cautions. That only caution of the night coming from the 5 of Garrett Grant. Other than that, it's been pretty clean for the most part. We're nearing the last 40 laps of this race.
Has been clean, but as the stats tell, only 2 unique leaders and 1 lead change.
Michael Sturgill almost went flying to the back of Ricky Springer. He actually managed to make the pass into turn 1, but Springer had to basically bail out of the corner, otherwise he would have been rear-ended by the 17.
Well, these two have also not played very nice tonight. The 17 got in the back of the 18 earlier, and Springer was already a little bit heated by that. Eric Wineland's on pit lane.
I might go running for the radio the radio for Fasikas Motorsports. Ricky Springer getting up behind Sturgill here. He was not too happy when I was there earlier. No, guys, I got some radio for you from David Weishart Racing. Listen in.
I mean, this car is so, it's so dumb.
It's all right. Just keep fighting. Was that Eric joining?
Yes.
Just in time to hear David complain.
So at least James Scioli was having a little bit of fun when I came down to listen in to the David Weishart camp, as we see contact there between he and Gabriel Ellison. James still working back from that speeding penalty, restarted 25th. The guys, he's all the way up to 12th here. Also wanted to note, made an error earlier for you guys. Forgot that these cars have 20 gallons in the tank instead of 18.7, which means they can go about 110 laps on fuel, which means we were good to the end. But David Weishart was talking about maybe getting a fresh set of tires because he felt that he did kill his. But I think we're kind of passing that window of whether it would actually play out and work or not, Kyle.
Yeah, I think if you get a caution, everyone will come to pit lane. I was getting the sensation that we were going green to the end because you would have already made your pit stop by this. You wouldn't wait this long. If you get a caution, I think it's worth it, absolutely. But maybe if it's right at the end of the race in a full green-white checkered, maybe a chance staying out. But if I'm Ryan Hartz, I'm clinging to this lead, and I don't want to give anybody the opportunity, especially because he started to pull some distance on Jake Nichols-Finian. This is the largest lead we've seen this entire race. It's only 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hartz is enjoying it. I think he wants things to continue going green till the end here. Everything is looking good for him. We look back, battle between Weishart and Sturgill. Weishart really, really falling off. And I think I just heard Weishart calling that he might come to pit lane here. There you go. He's going to pull up to the left-hand side indeed. So Weishart going to be pitting.
Oh, spin!
Oh, no. Is this going to bring out the caution?
On the apron,
no,
it shouldn't.
It's below the... Wow, that is huge. And he just quit. He called it a night. That's it.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. This entire round of the playoffs has gone horrible for David Weishart, and that's the summarization of what these last 2 races have been for him. Spinning on the apron here, just thinking about coming to get some tires, maybe have a decent run to the end after getting a speeding penalty at Auto Club last week, putting himself laps down and out of the competition. He's officially out of the Final Four tonight.
Eric Wineland, disappointment for the 33. What you got?
Yeah, he's not too happy on the radio, guys, but that looked exactly like what Garrett Grant did earlier on that triggered the first yellow of the night. Just happened that David did not spin back up the racetrack, thankfully, and take any of his other playoff competitors out. But that is going to end his playoff chances, guys. Ryan Hart's still cool, calm, and collected out front, though. That radio for the 3-car is usually pretty silent, and I can hear a pin drop about 1,000 yards away in that right now.
Trouble, turn 2. The 27 and 22 get together again, and the 27's going to spin it. He keeps it straight. What a save.
Holy cow, I'm amazed they kept going in the right direction. They're still not completely done just yet, but wow, that was absolute chaos in turns 1 and 2.
Holy cow, they almost destroyed each other a couple times. 22 dives down in here, guys. Same thing we saw earlier. Gets up into the 27. And then 27 loops it on throttle, but the 22 was there to save him. And just wild, wild moments. And, oh, they're still banging doors. Oh, no, the 71. Oh,
Racetrack's not down there. It's up here.
Oh, guys,
This is the last thing you need to see if you're the 3 of Ryan Hart's. I mean, no wonder why you could hear a pin drop, because anything can happen. Less than 30 to go. The gap is still around 1.5 seconds separating the 3 and the 91. Slayton is closing just a little bit there on that battle. So we get another update from pit road. Eric Weiland. It's getting busy out here on the track.
Yeah, Dom DeLeo completely silent about the incident, but Gabriel Ellison definitely had something to say.
Yeah, he better hope he drives away. That's all I got to say.
Guys, the 27 camp is not having a good time tonight. That knocks him back down to 14th, and definitely not pointing his way in right now. He's still going to be about 22, 23 points below the cut if it were to end the way it is right now. So that 27 needs a miracle, and he needed that caution. He just didn't want to be it.
Yeah, that was pretty rough racing there for a minute. We're still not done back here, by the way. They're still probably the most volatile group of anybody on the racetrack. As Hartz continues to increase his lead. The 64 goes way up the track, Finney. This is just getting real spicy.
Whoa. That is Shane Abbey that's getting loosey-goosey there.
Yeah, loosey-goosey alongside the 64 Ed Robertson. As these guys are really starting to struggle with tires. And we still got 30 laps of racing. We've seen a lot of guys kick the back end out. Also saw Ricky Springer kick the back end out as he's getting passed by the 7 of James Scally. He's back down in 10th. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that puts him tied with Travis Beckner. Or just about tied with Travis Beckner. In fact, that will tie him with Travis Beckner exactly. And he will win that tiebreaker. So Beckner, he's got to get past Ray Slate as soon as he can or lead a lap.
Looking back at it, the 7 of Skyler's definitely driven his way back inside the top 10. So if we do get a late race caution, be on the lookout for the 7. Could make some interesting moves to continue to work his way through, possibly get a top 5 finish. But looking back here, that is Brandt going low on Newbeck, getting 14th, 15th, 16th there. You got Tyler Nichols and Bryce Senesac almost coming door to door there on the front stretch. It is a mess back here.
Yeah, that's because that started when Bryce Senesac clipped the apron in turns 1 and 2, and then they ended up being 3 wide on the back straight away. So handling staying being more and more of an issue here.
Oh, the 12 is still wobbling in the backdrop. And we remember we did not have to go 100 and whatever laps. So this is going to be what, 120-ish laps, 115 laps from where we picked to the end.
Change. Sorry, Rafe Slade's taken second away from Jake Nichols. That handling has gone away on the 91 quite a bit. I couldn't tell if he was still saving tires or possibly saving fuel, but it seems like the car is just fading away from Jake Nichols. And Slade now moves up to the runner-up spot.
Yeah, I think we're just running out these tires so much more than we did the first run, and that's really going to create some unpredictable handling for pretty much everybody. No, the 8 car's in the wall out of turn 2.
Definitely doesn't need that. He's still going to be alongside the 91. He's going to look back up the inside. Slade going to continue with that run off the outside. Should be able to clear him for now.
Was there some contact? Maybe.
Had to take a closer look at it.
No, not quite. They were just kind of both following each other towards the outside wall, but pretty frantic there. Then Michael Curhan, by the way, up to 6th place and out of the tailpipes of Greg Mitchell and Seth Noel. Remember his restart back at lap 70 or whatever it was, Finn, he was absolutely sailing. He's driven all the way up to 7th after starting dead last.
Yeah, and here's the thing also from the 91 of Nichols. When Ray Slate hit the wall, he apologized for causing the 91 to panic, and Nichols said, "Don't worry about it, I'm just vibing at the moment." And I think Travis Beckner is hoping he's going to vibe a little bit more and give him a spot that he needs to get himself in.
Speaking of vibing, he seems to have good vibes on pit road, and Eric Weiland's come up here to spread some of those good vibes.
Hey, I can spread the good vibes from Solar Flare Racing because I have radio on them, guys. Listen in.
Everyone just decides to talk at once.
The funny thing is, I think this is the quietest we've ever been in this race this season.
Yeah. I feel like it ran over a 4th Street line. I mean, we don't really have much. I mean, we're waiting around. As long as I finish top 5, I mean, we've got team title locked. We're just here for points.
So, guys, 2 things to unpack right there. First of all, Solar Flare was not saying any words till I joined back in to listen in on them, and then they decided to all talk at once. That's what the first part of the conversation there was. So again, more drivers decided to have fun with me because they're just so focused on driving this track. But the second point there, Nick Nichols locked himself in by starting tonight. We already mentioned that, but we haven't mentioned too much about the team point standings, guys. And that's on his mind. That's all he's worried about tonight. Not where he finishes, size, just making sure he's top 5 and another one of his drivers is far enough up the order to lock the team title tonight and not have to worry about it going into Nashville next week.
Yeah, team title, that's when you know you're confident in your driving ability. You've kind of locked as much as you can at this point if you're the 91, so focus on the next thing on the list. That would be the team title. Here comes Travis Beckner into turn 1 on the 91 of Jake Nichols. A little bit of, almost some contact there in 1 and 2. This race is almost over, guys. 16 laps to go. Only takes about 6 minutes here at Richmond.
Here to see how hard Travis Beckner's going to fight for it, because this could very well be the position that determines if he's in the final 4 or not. Yeah, I'm curious to see if Nichols, how hard he's going to fight with Beckner for this, because again, Nichols really has nothing to lose. I think at this point he's really just choosing, does he want to fight with Beckner for the title, or does he want to fight with Ricky Springer for the title?
Or does he want to fight with Ryan Hartz for the title? Because Hartz, over 3 seconds now, gap separating him and Rafe Slate, and kind of this kerfluffle here from third on back. But Beckner needing every position he can, because if Hartz wins, Beckner's probably out. Unless he can make up some ground in which the points might swing in his favor. He's going to duck low, heading into 1. Going to get alongside of the 91 of Nichols, whose tires continue to fade. Sideways off of 2, saves it. Still trying to keep it straight. Going to lose a spot in the process.
And Seth Noel's coming with a head of steam as well. He's been coming from a long ways back. So Travis Beckner, instead of gaining 1, he loses 1. The Hunter becomes the Hunted. And running out of laps, Beckner needs spots if he wants to move on to Nashville.
Yeah, that could have been key right there. He might have just thrown it away, because now he's not just has to get past the 91 Nichols. He's got to get past Greg Mitchell in the 2.
Very critical moment there for the 28 of Beckner. Thought he had a chance to move up a spot. Instead moves down a spot. Might lose another. Oh, he's still loose coming off of 4. Still sideways. He might be losing another one.
Yeah, last week at Fontana, driving it in a slide was a benefit for Beckner. He was driving that thing sideways in all the week's festivities, but tonight it is hurting him badly on corner exit. Seth Noel and Michael Curran are back in the mix here, and Curran would love to keep that 28 out of the playoff picture.
Yeah, it's really, and it's so close in the points right now, it's really going to come down to whether or not that 1 bonus point for having an incident-free race. From the looks of it, ironically, everyone seems to have a pretty clean car, so a lot of people might end up having that bonus point, including Springer and Beckner, but we'd have to see. But we got Eric Wineland back in the booth with us here from Pit Lane. Eric, what you got?
Hey, so I can give you guys an update there. First of all, here's Travis Beckner right as you guys caught that moment, just listening to his radio.
No.
So, tense moment there for the 28, but he was not having fun. I unfortunately just stopped recording because I was getting ready to leave the channel when he gave some more detail. He said, man, I cannot pass on the bottom off of turn 2, to which Dawson Miller, his spotter, said, you're setting them up in the wrong quarter. You need to set him up for turn 3. So, expect the 28 to try to adjust his driving style coming toward the end of the race here. If he can get back to Greg Mitchell and battle for P4 and try to get himself back into playoff position.
He is running out of time, though. 10 laps to go, coming to 9 laps to go. And we are so close to the end of this thing, and he is struggling right now to carry speed forward. He's got a pack of cars in behind him, hungry to take those spots away. For Seth Noel, doesn't mean much, neither for Scioli, but for the 28 it means a lot.
I was going to say, Scioli might actually put him another position down, because that 7's been continuously working through the field. Going to give a little bit of a tap to Seth Noel just in front. The one going to get a little bit loose off of turn 2, and here comes Scioli charging up the inside on the back straightaway.
Scioli, man on the mission, was running inside the top 10, pitted, was too fast there. That just shows how fast his car was. Had to go to the back. Now he's back up inside the top 10. Seth Noel going to look a little low. Meanwhile, a little further up the road, Greg Mitchell trying to take the podium spot away from Jake Nichols, coming off of turn 2. Meanwhile, Scioli still lurking to get around Beckner as Mitchell once again makes the descent into turn 3.
In behind them, crucially, Garrett Grant just got past Ricky Springer for 10th place. Springer going to drop back to 11th, and he's got Jordan Martin knocking on his doors for 11th as well. So Springer's losing positions. Beckner's trying to gain positions here in these last 10 laps. It's going to be very close for that final spot.
All the playoff competitors losing ground left and right. They can't afford it. They need to move forward, but they have been moving backward in the last couple of laps, but they are moving back at what seems to be an equal rate. The calculations will be calculating the last couple laps here. It's going to be wild as we get down to the final 5 laps. Ryan Hartz has a 3.3 second advantage.
Oh, Skyler giving the bumper. Bumper again.
Oh, man, is this going to be where it all breaks apart for the 28?
No, Beckner's not going to like that.
What do you do about it?
Going to send it a little bit? Oh, he can't. So the 7's going to boot, scoot, and boogie out of here with the top 5 spot, unless Beckner sends it here, going into 1.
He's sideways.
Whoa, and Jacob Bell almost getting into the 91 of Jake Nichols up the road as he's just trying to get out of the way.
The 28 is just, he has no tire left at this point. So he loses another spot. Springer's down to 12th. He lost a spot to Jordan Martin. And Ryan Hartz is 3 laps away from being safe to drive back to the checkered flag for the first time this season in the Cup Series.
I think he's just hoping these last few laps end peacefully. Last thing he needs is the caution to come out late in the going and cause a green-white checker. He hates the green-white checkers because he's usually been on the losing end of them.
And got 2 laps left, so he's got to make it to the white.
Ooh,
and then
Beckner wrecking off a turn 4 into the wall.
They're making contact here, so we're going to Eric Weiland. And Weiland, what you got for us?
Hey, that 28 is rattled, guys. I'm not going to replay his radio, but it was a choice 4-letter word that began with an F for James Scioli. He was not happy, and here's Dawson Miller trying to calm him down.
Yeah. You race a playoff driver like that, that's cool. Just take your time, hit your marks.
And the playoff berth slipping away for that 28 car, guys.
And Beckner just said on the public channel to Jake that he needs that playoff spot. He needs that final spot. He needs that 5th place spot.
But Jake's not going to give it to him. And behind him, Seth Noel, Michael Sturgill, they're all battling. They're going to get together down here at turn 3. They almost touch. Ryan Hart's waiting for the white flag. He's gotten it. 1 more lap to go here from Richmond.
Oh, Sturgill wrecking off at turn 4. He's going to almost spin. He slows it down as we continue to go green.
Ryan Hart's 3 second place finishes this season. And finally, after 15 races this season, Ryan Hartz comes out of turn 4. He locks himself into Nashville and wins at Richmond.
And Beckner's going to come home P6.
Beckner in P6 and rounding out at turn 4 now. Ricky Springer going to come home in P12. And it's going to be close, guys. You're going to have to wait to tally it up. It's going to be awfully close.
There's a 6-point gap between Springer and Beckner, and I think they, from the looks of things, they might have tied, but I don't know. We're going to have to wait until the points for this one.
Tiebreakers are the wins first, and Ryan Hartz finally has a win to his name this season. Time after time after time again, seconds and thirds and fourths and fifths. And he was so close so many times, most recently right behind the 91 and didn't run into him, so that's not the way I race. But nice guys, they don't always finish last, Vinny, and sometimes they finish first.
They finish second very often, but indeed sometimes they do finish first, and for Ryan Hart, it's been a long time coming this season. Finally get it done. You can imagine that's going to be some good momentum going to next week.
Perfect, coming up on Valentine's Day with a win there for Ryan Hart's going to get his mind prepped now on Nashville. Say it took him 16 races into the Cup Series season, and over in the Twitch chat, if you bet on the poll question, it's the same as last week. Will the winning car number be odd or even? Last week it was even with Michael Curran, and if you chose odd, then you just won with Ryan Hartz.
Well, as you mentioned, Hunter, Valentine's Day tomorrow, and this guy is all hearts. Huh?
See what you did there.
All right. Well, let's have a look at the race results. We'll wait for the championship situation here. By the way, Greg Mitchell got a podium and all that. P3 for the 2. Rafe Slate, second place after Ryan Hartz. Then James Scioli with a 4th at the very end of that. Jake Nichols, P5. Travis Beckner, P6. But was it enough, Finian?
And actually, we have it tied up. You got to really think that new feature with SimRacer Hub, that the points updated immediately. And unfortunately, Beckner, it's not going to be enough. It's going to be Nichols, Hartz, Curran, and Ricky Springer on the tiebreaker winning over Beckner with his 3 wins to Beckner's 1.
Oh, man, that is heartbreaking for Beckner, but for Springer, moves on, even though it was slipping away in the closing moments. And for the 28, it just slipped away a little too far. Tiebreaker for the 18 moves him on to the playoff finale at Nashville. Wild stuff. Here's the rest of the finishing results before we talk to some of our front runners. It's been an interesting fight all night long as Hunter, 11 through 20.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Ricky Springer, they're finishing 12th. He snuck in on a tiebreaker, so that's going to be some good momentum for him heading into Nashville. And Gabriel Ellison, Dom DeLeo, they are outside looking in once again. They are both eliminated. And you got a new bigging player amongst others. And David Weissart, boy, it was just not a good night. Needed a win, was stuck at 9th for essentially the entire race. And coming on the pit road, just did not work out, spun out, and is out of the playoffs.
There's your finishing order, and in just a moment we've got some radio that from the number 3, and that is going to contain some language that is not necessarily super friendly for young ears, so keep that in mind. Here's Ryan Hartz finishing up his final lap here, coming out of turn number 3, or 3 and 4.
Oh my God, thank you guys.
Good shit, Ryan.
Let's fucking go! Yes!
You're on one tonight, brother. Good job, bro.
Oh my God, yes! Yes!
Guys, that was Ryan Hartz on the white flag lap through turns 3 and 4. He's just absolutely elated, and I'm sure we'll hear it in his voice when we get to talk to him post-race here, Kyle, because he just won his way into a championship race at Nashville.
Excellent work by Ryan Hartz tonight. First driver we're going to chat with, though, is Greg Mitchell in the number 2. Brings it home in 3rd place and kind of snuck into P3, honestly, Greg. There was so much going on behind you in terms of the playoff picture that we didn't really notice that you slid up into P3, but that's a great result for you and your team. Congratulations, first of all. Take us through your night and the trials and tribulations of Richmond Raceway and battling through it.
Yeah, thanks. I was coming on kind of late there. I was good on the long run, just short runs. I was just trying to save it as much as I could, and man, did it get sketchy at the end. But it was really fun. I think I started, I don't know, somewhere just barely in the top 10, and I didn't want that first caution because I was coming. Rafe and I were both coming. They're pretty good on the long run, so that was a bummer, but that's okay. We got another good long run, even a longer run that time. And then I had James in my rearview mirror, so I was really trying to go just fast enough to keep him behind me.
Well, it's a great result for you. Talk to us about the racetrack tonight. It seemed like it was pretty challenging, especially out of turn 2, to keep grip underneath you. So when you got that long green flag run there towards the end, how tricky was it to keep the car underneath you, or was it not wearing that badly for you?
No, it was pretty bad. You had to be just barely on the throttle. I know some guys were even shifting down to 3rd, and I think that might have hurt them on the long run. I was 4th gear coming out of 2, and you really had to. I mean, I wasn't full throttle until I was fully on the straightaway. So it was tricky, which is why there was a lot of comers and goers, because they were just burning up their stuff, and we all were burning up our stuff. It was just, whoever had just a little bit more percentage than the next guy.
Well, Greg Mitchell brings it home in P3 for the number 2 Ford Mustang. Greg, thanks for chatting with us, and best of luck to you next week at Nashville. It's championship finale, but still up for grabs for the win for anybody. Good luck to you there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm still fighting Tyler for that 13th spot, so hoping to take that one home. So thank you guys, appreciate it.
We'll see you next week. Moving on now to Rafe Slate, who brought it home 2nd place in tonight's race. 3 seconds back from winner Ryan Hartz. And Rafe, you've been close a couple weeks in a row. P2 this week. Take us through your night. Had the 2 car right behind you there towards the end. Got by the 91, and the 7 was coming, but top 5 for you again. Take us through it.
Yeah, talk about walking on eggshells. That was that was tough right at the very end. There was no right rear left. All the right side tires were smoking hot, and I don't know how I didn't get into Jake when I was going to pass him, but I watched him kind of slide the right rear 15, 20 laps in a row, and just made sure I didn't do that, and it seemed to work. Just tried to stay tucked in on Hartz and made sure I was running as close as possible to him, but he had a rocket ship tonight. He took off.
Well, it was a great run for you at the tail end of things. We got one more round that's at Nashville next week. How do you feel like you can do there, and can you steal a win away from one of these playoff guys?
I don't know. I mean, I've surprised myself at the last couple tracks I thought I sucked at. So Nashville's not one of my strong suits or my favorite tracks, but Auto Club's my least favorite, and I finished 3rd there. So I guess we'll just have to see.
All right, well, people have to tune in next week to catch it, Rafe. Good luck to you there, and congratulations on P2. We'll see you there.
Thank you. Hey, and I want to throw a big shout out to Fazekas. This is next week will be my last race with them, and All-Star Car Wash, and just really appreciate all those guys.
All right, Rafe. Thanks for chatting. We'll see you next time. And last but certainly not least, Ryan Hartz, searching for wins week after week. Told everybody that he didn't want to use the bumper to get the win. He didn't have to use the bumper tonight because everybody was in the mirror for basically the last half of the race. Ryan, congratulations. You finally got one, and it didn't require rooting anybody up out of the groove. You dominated the last half of this race. Take us through your night and the emotions you went through there coming back to the checkers.
Yeah, dude, I about screamed right when I crossed the line because, wow, I can't believe I just did that. I sent a tweet out earlier saying, I'm confident about tonight, and everybody better watch out, and that proves it right there. Because wow, that was just a rocket ship on the long run, and I can't believe I was faster than Nichols, like flat out throughout most of the race. He's been obviously the biggest competitor all season, and I just flat out outrun him on that final run. I couldn't believe it. Because honestly, when I passed him in that second half, I was like, I just want to lead a lap just in case, me and Beckner get close at the end on points. And then, the gap started growing, and I'm still saving tires. It's like 0.2, 0.5, a second. And then I'm like, wow, I'm actually really, really good here. So I guess I just saved the tires good enough. I practiced a lot for this, and I appreciate everyone who put up sessions and put up lobbies, because that's what won me this race, was everybody having my back and supporting me and with me practice, because this means a lot.
Well, it's a special win in particular because it locks you in automatically to the season finale at Nashville. You'll be one of the 4 competitors in the playoffs next week for the last round of the season, and all you got to do is finish ahead of everybody else in the playoffs. So what's your comfort level with that? I know it's a big moment to be in a race like that, and you got to beat that 91 again. Do you think you can do it?
Well, I've been thinking about myself, or I've been thinking about myself saying, like, yeah, I've been really, really good, but can I really beat that 91 on speed every single week? And I mean, tonight I did it, and I go back to Nashville last season, and he didn't win Nashville. I'm not typically good there, but I'm going to be practicing just non-stop this week because I feel like I can go after that 91, and not even just him. It's I think it's Ricky, and I forget the other guy. I apologize. My mind's going a million miles an hour right now, but I do feel like we have a good chance at getting the championship next week. We might have not been the best driver all season. Obviously, that goes to Jake. With this format, I do feel like we have a great shot at the title. So we'll get locked and loaded, and same as tonight, people better watch out because this 3 car is going to be flying.
It was flying tonight. Ryan Hartz will be one of our 4 competitors. Jake Nichols, Michael Curran, and Ricky Springer, the others going against you, Ryan, next week. Best of luck to you there. We'll see you next week.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys, that'll wrap up the interviews this evening. Ryan Hartz, Rafe Slate, Greg Mitchell. Ryan gets it done after a long drought, and it took him a while, but, man, he deserved that one. 78 laps en route to that victory.
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, a long time coming for the 3, and again, it's a huge confidence boost for him trying to duke it out with the 91 of Jake Nichols. Definitely the man to beat going into the Final 4 next week, and again, confirmation of your Final 4. It's going to be Jake Nichols, Ryan Hartz, followed by Michael Curran, who locked himself in last week, and Ricky Springer just getting in by the skin of his teeth on the tiebreaker with Travis Beckner. So those 4 making it in. That's a heck of a Final 4. Curious to see who's going to take it home.
Hunter Sleppy, Hunter, final thoughts here on Richmond heading into Nashville.
I was going to say, you saw the difference there heading into the closing laps there. Beckner trying to make a move on Jake Nichols. Ended up costing him a spot because he got loose, made the move at the wrong point on the track, got loose coming out of 2, lost that spot. and then just continued to lose ground and lose tires. And that was the difference maker between him being on the outside and being on the inside of the cutoff. So we have 4 drivers going at it for a championship. Next week at Nashville, got 2 more races here this week. Got trucks tomorrow night and Lodge Box Series Thursday night, where we continue to eliminate 4 drivers and then punch 4 more drivers into their own championship round.
Eric Wineland, final thoughts on Richmond?
Definitely not going to be my final thoughts of Richmond, because I got to try to see if I can race my way into the championship round tomorrow night. But no, what a way for Ryan Hartz to finally get his first win. He absolutely just put it to him on that final stint of the race and showed that he can beat Jake Nichols. And he needed that, and it came at the best time, because he goes to Nashville next week, where Jake has been vulnerable before due to an incident last season where Jake finished 8th after picking up a 4X and some damage in these cars at Nashville, and Ryan finished ahead of Jake in that race. So Ryan's hoping history will repeat itself for him a little bit. But Ricky Springer, by the skin of his teeth, man, what a time to get hot early or later on in the season, midpoint of the season for Ricky, because that was his way of getting to the playoffs over Travis after that tie break. But Kyle, I'm excited to see what these guys can bring for Nashville next week. It's going to be a fun time.
It certainly will be. Fans, be sure to check out areaiRacing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout. Sun sets on another great day of racing here at Richmond Raceway. Tomorrow night, the Area Truck Series playoffs eliminate their next 4 drivers and set their final 4 for Nashville. We'll see you on Thursday as well for the Lodge Box Series. Same thing there. And on Wednesday night, the DC Region SCCA takes GT4 cars up to Mount Panorama Bathurst. We'll see you there on Wednesday as well. Full week of racing here on Sim TV. Kyle Heyer, Eric Wineland, Finney DeCuna, and Hunter Sleppy bringing to the action. We'll see you tomorrow night.